was impressed, and he told my mom. He said, "Look, you know, he's promising. Maybe he should go to school to do music." And I said, my mom came to me all and said, "What's in your mom think you're great? You can go to school to do music." I say,
One
"Go to
senior moss.
school
Yeah.
to do music?"
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the City Your Mind Podcast. I'm your host, Eric King, and today we have a very, very special guest with us. This man is a writer, he's a musician, he's a creator, a composer, he's a teacher, he's a father, he's a best friend to yours truly, godfather to my son. This man I've known my entire adult life. I'm speaking about none other than the legendary Bryan Cee. Welcome, my
Glad to
brother.
be here, man. Glad to be here.
There you go. Bryan Cee, CEE, conscious encouragement for everybody. You understand me? So, hey, man,
Everyone.
thanks so much for joining me, man. This has been a long time coming. What y'all don't know is this is the man instrumental in getting us on one of our first therapists on the show. Our resident hypnotherapist, Rupert Missick, is a island boy just like this man, and so he was able to make that bridge and establish some of our street cred, in the mental health world, man. So he's been a part of the show, silent partner in the background for a long time, and today he's got here to talk to us about a great project that he just released, and you guys are gonna love. And we're gonna get we're gonna get more familiarized with the man behind the music today. So welcome, Bryan.
Thank you, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, awesome,
Appreciate
awesome.
it.
Yeah, no problem, man. The pleasure is all ours. And again, as you can hear slightly, the man ain't from here. You know what I'm saying? He's from the islands. This man is straight out of the 242, Nassau, Bahamas, man. And hey, bro, I think that's a perfect place to start, man. Let us tell about the journey from getting you, all the way from the Bahamas, the 242, here to the States. And he's broadcasting from Illinois right now. So we're going to get all the way up. How this man got all the way up here and all the great music and stories, in between, man. So take it away, my brother.
Yeah, man. It's been a journey for sure. You know, I never saw myself living in the United States, but life will take you in some very peculiar journeys. So
That's the truth.
I initially came here to do my studies. Um, I was
St. John's. Go
at St.
Johnny's.
John's.
Yeah,
At
yeah,
St.
St.
John's,
John's,
yeah,
man.
my alma mater. That's where we met.
That's where we met. Yeah. In college, bro. Second
In
semester, this
college,
man came up. So that was winter 2007.
2007, man. I
Long
came in the
time ago.
coldest time ever. Yeah, I remember that time too. They were like, "Oh, I said, I'll just go in January." I'm not even thinking
This man
about it,
coming from the Bahamas to
Right.
Minnesota in January.
And I said, I'm gonna be smart about this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Florida and I can buy winter stuff where it's cheaper and take it up to Minnesota. Yeah, that was a terrible idea.
You got to get your clothes from here.
Yeah, right. I wasn't thinking. I was like, man, people was telling me, say, it's cold up there, right? I said, man, I've been to Atlanta.
Hot Atlanta.
So, yeah, my
Whoa.
perspective was really off, but I was happy to get the opportunity, to pursue music. That wasn't my uh, first choice. Music was something I did on the side. I was always a poet. I wrote poetry in high school. I did spoken word. I did those things. I was an actor. I loved this, anything with the arts and the stage. That was me. I always did
Gotcha.
that. And I always wanted to play piano. You know, I was a different kid. I was into classical music and stuff like that. And people used to look at me like, why?
I was like, bruh, what you
I don't
talking
make no
about,
sense.
man?
But it was my thing. Growing up, my prized possessions was a camcorder, not a camcorder. What do you call it? Walkman.
Oh, Walkman. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I had a
Walkmans
Walkman.
back in the kids.
Yeah, I got a Walkman for a gift or something like that, or a garage sale. Anyway, I got it, and I would listen. At night, I would listen to I would catch the American station. So I would get like the Golden Oldies station. I would get like different classical stations, stuff we wouldn't hear in Nassau, you wouldn't hear in the Bahamas.
what's funny is, man, you brought me back because I'm thinking of Walkman had the tape player. I was like, oh yeah, they did have a radio on it. I haven't listened to like that's true.
Right. It
That's
had a radio
like,
FM and AM.
yes, yes, it did.
And you could switch back and forth. And I thought that was
Hmm.
cool. I was like, oh, and I would like radio, and I could get on American stations. You know what I mean? You would hear I had different music I wouldn't normally hear, like in the Bahamas. We got the reggae and the dancehall and the Reagan scrape and the soca. You know what I mean? And the rap, of course, and the hip hop from Chicago is ironic. I come to Chicago, and I'm like, wow, this is
This is where a lot of that stuff came from, right here.
that's where it come from. I live here, but I got to listen to different type of genres, different types, and I just liked different types of music, you know. And when I got my first computer, I just remember having this uh, encyclopedia because you used to have those big encyclopedias, like
Hmm.
uh,
The collections, in my grandparents'
yeah,
basement, big old
Collier's Encyclopedia Britannica,
yeah,
we had
Encyclopedia
the whole
Britannica.
collection,
Yes.
you know. And so, of course, it's all you read, and I read them all, but you couldn't hear anything. This encyclopedia had every composer, had every. I was like,
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I
Encyclopedia
was
was used for
enamored.
computers. Yeah.
Yeah, I was enamored by that, man. I was like, wow,
There's so
yeah.
much. Yeah, so many
Windows
components.
95,
Yes, sir. Changed the game. Yes.
you
Especially for
know.
kids.
Yeah, so I went on this encyclopedia, man. I could listen to anything I wanted. I had it at my fingertips now. So I was just like, I gotta learn piano. That's it.
That's
I
it.
cannot.
How old were you when this epiphany? Like, okay, I was
I was
interested in piano.
older. I was like 15, 16. I was
See,
like in high school still almost finished. I wasn't even I think I started in the 11th grade with the interest. It's like, hey, I got to learn piano. Like going into 12th grade. And I remember going in the phone book and it's calling up different piano stores or whatever, piano teachers and everything, getting quotes and stuff like that. I
hmm
had my little side hustle job where I cut grass and stuff like that.
hmm and landscape life.
Yeah, I landscaped, um, saved up my money, and I said, you know what, I'm going to do some lessons. But I went to my church organist, and he's like, you know what, man, don't even worry about it. I could teach you, but you got to promise me one thing. You got to play in church. And I was like,
Got
I don't
you.
care.
And that's again, this is Carl, right?
This is Carl.
I
Yeah.
met Yeah, I met Carl. Yeah, okay, got you.
Yeah, this is Carl, man. And we friends to this day, man. Wonderful
I know
guy,
Carl.
just a jolly soul, you know what I mean? Just
Hmm
yeah,
since he came to visit at St. John. You was graduating. I was like, oh, that's the guy.
and he
Yeah,
surprised me with that too. They
yeah.
shocked me.
We was up in the midi getting it
Yeah.
in.
That was a bittersweet because my grandmother passed and she was supposed to come. That was her ticket. And so she had passed
Wow.
right before then. And well, we have this extra ticket. So they gave it to Carl. So Carl surprised me in the room. And I got out there. I didn't expect this. When he got up here, I didn't expect to see him. So he was like,
Wow.
I was like, oh man. So it was wonderful that graduation. But
Yeah, man. Your first teacher being there, man. That's awesome.
yeah, he got the support. He got to see it, and he was proud. You know what I mean? And I had a slew of teachers after him. He started me off basically with the basics and everything like
Hmm
that. Get me started playing. One thing I would say though, he started me on the track of improvisation. Like he was a
Okay.
master improviser on the organ and stuff like that.
So
And
he,
I
he didn't
always,
need it wasn't just sticking to the sheet. He taught you, hey man, the sheet's cool, but you can go beyond that.
oh yeah, man, you would have like you would have the hymn,
Hmm
and it's different than the states. In the Bahamas, we come from that British tradition. So
hmm
as Catholics, we have that pomp and circumstance. We have
Dun,
this
dun,
whole
dun, dun, da, da, da.
yeah, we have this whole fanfare in the middle of a hymn. I was like, what's
Hallelujah.
going on? He's like, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what? And it's nice. And everybody knew that was what it was. And we waited. and then he do a cadence, and then we started singing again. We just knew
Yeah.
how it went. I remember I did that for the first time here when I worked at the church. They looked at me like, "What is this?"
Yeah, this is
Like,
not the Bahamas, sir.
they told me, "Say we've never heard anything like that before."
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
bro.
Monroe, Illinois. Yeah, North Illinois. They
Yeah,
wasn't ready. They
they
wasn't
was
ready.
not ready for that. But
No, man, that's awesome, man. So how long was it? So you started taking lessons from him. So how long was it before you started actually being, confident enough to play in church? All your chops, because
I
you
was.
said you started a little later. So
It's weird. Well, he pushed me. He pushed me, man, and I wanted to learn because I wanted to learn a particular piece. It's
mhm.
Canon in D. It was one of my favorite pieces.
Canon and D. Okay.
It was one of my favorite pieces, and I remember listening to that on repeat on a daily because I never heard anything, even up to this day, as beautiful and as complex and as ingenious as that is. It's basically a canon. So a canon is like you have one melody, and then you have another melody overlapping that melody, and then you introduce a third, and the fourth, and then the fifth, and the thing, and you have this one ostinato. Well, you have this one repeating, bass line that just repeats the whole time. But the bass line is like a melody in itself,
Mm-hmm.
So it just so it builds and it builds and it builds and it flourishes. And you have these ostinatos, you have all of these little frills and different things. And I was like, this is amazing. I got to play this. I won't
Has to
rest.
go down. This is it, man.
I
Shout
got
out
to
to you.
play this.
It's
I got to play
Beethoven,
this
right?
piece.
Isn't that Beethoven?
No, this is Johann Pachelbel. And he's not known for anything but that piece.
Gotcha. There you go. See, I'm like, I never heard that. So
No, yeah,
that's
I've looked for
come
other
on, man.
pieces.
Shout out to Johan.
Yeah, I looked for other pieces by this cat, but anyway, yep. My point is, I started in September and I was playing in January.
Man. So that you took an intensive. You took an intensive course for them
It was
couple months and
it was a
made it
gift.
happen.
It was a gift. I
That's what's
wouldn't
up.
say it came easy to me, but I worked hard at it and I liked it and I was determined. And it's like any sport or anything like that you do, of course, the beginning is going to be tough. You got to train yourself. I had to train my fingers. I had to train
Mm-hmm.
my hands to move in a different way, independently from each other and stuff like that. And it was not hard. It was not easy, but I was brave. Yes. Did I stink? Yes, a lot of times, man. I messed up a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times. But there's the ability to get back up there, and you know, uh, they were very supportive. The parishioners, they were like, they say, "Oh, you're getting there. You're getting there. You're almost like Carl. I could hear it.
Like, okay, young man, he coming. You doing all
Yeah, it
right.
was nerve-wracking too, man. Play in front of, like, and I remember I would take one hymn and I'd practice it for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, man. I wanted to get it right. I wanted to get it perfect.
And this is the church you grew up in. It's St. Anselm's, right?
St. Anselm's and
Beautiful
Fox
church. If
Hill.
you ever go to Fox Hill in the Bahamas, bro,
Yeah,
beautiful place actually.
yeah. Fox Hill is beautiful, beautiful. That's my home, man. I've about four generations of Fox Hill. It's like the eastern side of the island. Nobody goes to Fox Hill unless you from Fox Hill. Like,
No, funny enough about it, man. When I'm going down to the Bahamas, I've been there several times. Obviously, visiting him over the years, but especially when I was first going down, people just assume, as an American, I'm staying at the resort or something. I'm supposed to be staying in Atlantis. I'm staying in Cable
mhm.
Beach. People think I'm staying. I said, no, man, I'm in Fox Hill. People. I'm talking about from the airport when they ask where I'm staying. Fox. Like,
Yeah,
how did I even know that exists as an American?
yeah. You're
They're
gonna
like,
get
you must
scared.
know. I was like, yeah,
They're gonna look at you like, why?
yeah. Like, why you going out?
Nobody goes to Fox. Nobody goes to Fox Hill like that, dude. Ain't no
Yeah,
resorts in Fox Hill.
no,
There's
nothing.
nothing
It's the people. It's a
touristy in
regular,
Fox Hill.
you know what I'm saying? It's a regular place, man. So, but shout out to that, man. So obviously, again, the people in your church, you known these people for years. They see you coming up, they're encouraging you. So, obviously, hey, man, that had to made you kind of feel good going forward. Like this must be something, I can really, pursue. So yeah, so from that, time you started playing in January.
Yeah.
When was it was kind of like, okay, what's the next
Well,
levels to this thing? Because again, you wanted to play one song and you
right,
agreed to play in church. That's all
right.
your goals were at this time.
Well, right. I didn't have an idea what I wanted to do. I mean, not to say I didn't have an idea. I had several ideas, but I didn't think about it deeply. I think I was always in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I was I thought I would be a pilot. That's what I thought I would do. I said,
Yeah.
I would do that.
Get the
And I told
Bahamas
my
air
mom,
on. There you
I
go.
said, Mom, I think I could be a pilot. And I started looking up, piloting schools and stuff like that. My mom was like, great. Well, who gonna pay for that? I said, uh, I guess it costs money. I didn't think about that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
piloting school is very, very expensive. So I was just doing music at the time, but it was my priest at the time. It was my like he later became like a mentor and like a father figure to me in many ways. I consider everything I am in a lot of ways the way I am as an adult. I attribute to him, because he was like a big role model at the time
Yeah, man.
where he carried himself. He was an intellectual. He was, you know, he was a musician, like a low key great musician that he never said anything. You never knew until I heard him play one time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he was the one that actually spearheaded my life in this direction because he heard me play in church and he was impressed and he told my mom. He said, "Look, you know, uh, he's promising. Maybe he should go to school to do music." And I said, my mom came to me all and said, "What senior Moss think you're great? You could go to school to do music." I say,
Once
"Go to
Senior
school
Moss. Yeah,
to do music?" I say, "You could go to school to do music?"
yeah. And for context, people, all right, again, he wasn't the first, he came second semester. So I met a lot of people from the Bahamas. St. John's and the Bahamas have a long, connection. And I swear, I thought everybody in the Bahamas was going to be a doctor, period. I just thought, period, there's not going to be a sick person on this island because every person I have met is here to be a doctor. I came to school to be a journalist. They over here telling me, Eric, no, we get practical where I'm from. Okay, we don't just go
Mhm.
to school for it, like all this following your dreams. That's some American stuff, guys. They was going to be again lawyer, doctor,
Yeah,
business stuff. It was very brass tacks. So,
that's what you
so
saw.
that makes sense that you would even thinking, what, go to school for music?
Yeah, never crossed my mind. Nobody in my family went to college.
Okay, yeah, first mate, trailblazer. There you go, exactly.
Never,
And
yeah, didn't. That wasn't a route like that. I mean, you finished high school and you go to work.
mm-hmm,
That's what you did. And so I think back at that time, I was such a kid mentally. I wasn't thinking of my future at all. So I was just kind of just like, okay, they say go to school. Okay, I'll do that. No, I mean, and my mom was like, hey, you could do the piloting thing later. Like, you
yeah,
like this?
yeah.
You pretty
She
good?
can do that anytime.
Yeah, it's like, why don't you go with this opportunity? So I say, okay. So Monsignor Mas was like, you know, uh, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to school in Europe or wherever. He's like, no, why don't you go to COB first? It was College of the Bahamas
Local
at the
school, yeah,
time. Now it's
yeah,
University of the Bahamas.
yeah.
And
UB.
they say, why don't you go to COB? And I didn't know at the time he was testing me. He was basically watching to see, okay, is this kid worth investing in?
Mm-hmm.
See, is he gonna follow through? And I remember, man, I went to COB. I showed up in the music department like, hi, my name is Brian, and I am going to be a music major. And they looked at me like, well, I'll never forget. They all sat around and said, well, how many BGCSEs? No, they said, did you have any BGCSEs for music? No. What about Royal School examinations? What's that? I don't know.
For people with BGCSEs, that's like ACT, SAT stuff, college
Sort of. Yeah,
certificate.
it's like a
Yeah, yeah,
Bahamas General Certificate, something or another. I don't even remember. But
yeah.
yeah, basically, it's you took it's like you take an SAT for every class, every subject you took.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I did geography and physics and stuff like that. I didn't do music. I mean, I was at SAC. Music wasn't offered. at that level. We had music.
Yeah, at your high school, St. Augustine's
Yeah,
College. They call colleges high school. High school is named college there.
yeah, it's a British thing.
British thing. British thing. Don't get lost.
Queens College, St. John's College, yeah, all of these things. But yeah, so I remember going in there, and they looked at me. I'll never forget Miss Wright face, man, Miss Wright, and she was like a mother figure to me later on. But she looked at me and said, "Honey, what you think you're doing?" I said, "I don't know.
It's like, well,
I
I
don't.
was trying to.
Yeah, I don't know what I just was told to come to COB and try to be a music major." So, needless to say, they didn't accept me in the music department. I was not up to par. I had elementary skills basically.
Yeah, you had just kind of started. Again, you started later. Most people, like, again, I know people are
Yeah,
shocked. They're like, wait a minute, you started at the end of high school. Most people start
right.
piano lessons, from a baby. Dang.
Ludicrous to think like I'm going to
Yeah.
college. I mean, to think back at it now is like, what was I thinking? But young and naive, just happy go
Right.
lucky. And that was always my personality, you know what I mean? So yeah, I I
So what
went
you
on
had to
the
major in first?
degree.
Yeah. What did you? What
I,
led you
I
to major?
I majored in psychology,
Okay.
and I majored with psychology. I had to get into the college first, but I took all music courses to try to upgrade myself. So I said, well, I need a fifth grade Trinity exam or Royal School equivalent to to be a music major. So I
Okay.
said, all right, well, I will study. So I had to take some psychology classes, of course, but I tried to take more music classes
Mm-hmm.
as electives, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
studied on my own. I took the first grade, I passed that, and then I skipped second grade. I went to third grade because I said I got to speed up this process, man. I did the third grade Trinity. I passed that. Then I went to fifth grade, and then I passed that, and I was now. So that took me a year. A
Okay, so a
year,
grind. See, again, you couldn't even major with 1 and 2 right away, man. You had to
you
do a
know.
year grind just to get in, to the actual major. So,
Yeah,
shout out to Monsignor Moss for the test,
right.
because he knew it was coming. He knew. Your ignorant self didn't know it was coming, but he knew exactly what you was gonna have to go through in
No,
order to get this.
I had no clue. I had no idea. I had no idea.
Ignorance is bliss, baby. And again, that youthful exuberance, because you're what, 18 at the time, right?
Hey, yeah, I was 17, 18. I
17,
think I was
18 years old.
17,
Y'all remember that.
16,
Yeah,
17.
for days.
Yeah, I was like 17. I think I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you guys graduated a year early. The Bahamas
right.
is
So I
early.
graduated like 16, going into 17. Yeah, I graduated 17, then I went into college at the Bahamas. And then so the next year, and then they said, okay, you could be a music major now. So now I could take now music courses, and then Miss Wright is my teacher, and Miss Wright, she went to Juilliard. Oh, not Juilliard, Manhattan School of Music. Same
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Close enough, right?
yeah. East Coast, baby. Yeah, yeah. Big
Yeah,
time.
she
New
went
York.
to Manhattan School of Music. She even studied in Jamaica Full, but she was amazing, man. This woman, oh my gosh, man. She played phenomenally. She was a choral director and everything. And she was sweet, man. And she would challenge me. She would give me a piece, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna show her, and I would perfect it the next week. And she's like, okay, here's another piece. I'm like, dang. And she would keep doing that. It was like, okay, here's another piece and a harder piece and a boom, boom, boom every week, nonstop. Like, and I because I had that initial like, you're not good enough to be in the college. So I had to show like I'm good
Oh yeah,
enough to be
the
here.
chip on your shoulder was
Yeah, I was like,
stacked.
especially too my colleagues, like my other music majors, they were doing the thing. I remember Delat, this one
Mm-hmm.
girl, she ended up being my sister. The music department at COB, it was like a family, man.
Mm-hmm.
They were like we my other music majors, we were like brothers and sisters. Because we were so small. We were like the smallest major on campus. We had a little building, like literally a little building, and people never knew what that building was. They just passed it. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. So
There you go.
So she pushed me for for almost 3 years, almost 2 to 3 years, and then she left and went to Cuba because she was married to a member of parliament or something like that. He ended up being like the
Not bad.
uh, ambassador to Cuba. Yeah, these are
The
some like
ambassador to Cuba. All
great.
right, coming up
Yeah,
in
he was the
the game.
ambassador for the Bahamas to Cuba. It's crazy, man. And
Hey,
so she left and lived in Cuba for a while. So now I'm without a teacher.
yeah.
So I'm like, we had a teacher come from New Hampshire. Um, she she was okay, you know what I mean? She was young. She was younger. She just got her master's, and she, I guess, decided to come to the Bahamas to teach for a bit. And but she was filling some big shoes, you know what I mean? Miss Wright was like,
She was a big deal.
she
Exactly.
was she was a huge deal. So I was used to getting that challenge, you know what I mean? I was just used to getting like pushed, and it was gone. So I I started feeling down. And I was like, okay. And now it's been like what, almost 2, 3 years now. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
heard anything from Monsignor Moss. I was like, okay, what's going on here?
Went
Like,
from like 17, now you're like 20. You're like, all right.
yeah. I was like, what's going on here? Like,
Like,
um, I'm trying to push to do my music here,
mhm.
and stuff, because now I'm like really sold on this, like doing music, like, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I loved it. Getting better. I'm playing now. I'm getting big pieces. I'm
Yeah.
like, this could. Then my whole life just shifted. Like, I like, oh, this is my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I found my thing.
Yep. There you go. Exactly. And like it
It
like hit
hit
a
me.
switch. Yeah, light bulb. Boom.
I was
This is
like,
what I'm about
I
to do.
cannot believe I found my thing. Boom. So
Mm-hmm.
now I found my thing. No, but now
Now you
my
got the
teacher's
t-shirt.
gone,
Like, dang.
and so you know, I had my final recital. I remember that I had a final recital, and Monsignor showed up, and I'll never forget that day because Miss Glasby, she was a whole British lady. She was the head of the department. She was like, "Everybody, be on your p's and q's. Monsignor Moss is coming." "Oh snap! Yeah, he's coming for me."
Who's he coming for? Your boy.
There was like, because there was like, what? Who invited? I said, me. He's coming to see me. I was showing out like, yeah. Because my
Uh-huh.
son is a big deal. I didn't even know how big of a deal he was until she was like, he's coming. He was just my priest at the time.
Yep.
So man, he came. He saw me perform. I played, and after that, he gave my mom some good remarks and stuff like that. He's like, "Oh, he's improved a lot." Boom, boom, boom. So I was like, "Okay, let's go."
Yeah. So
I'm
what's the next
going
step? Thanks.
going
Thanks.
up
You
to
know what I'm saying?
school,
Like
but nothing. Uh,
mm,
I didn't hear anything back for like months and months and months. And looking back at it now, he's probably working behind the scenes and stuff like
mhm.
that. But like,
But it was
so
definitely an exercise in patience, like, during that
well,
time.
I was impatient. No, I was not patient. I said, well,
Yo,
fine.
you're real. No, no.
I say, fine. If I'm going to go to school myself. I'm going to do this myself. I applied to Florida International University, and I got accepted.
Yeah. AKA Bahamas North. There we go.
Right.
A
I
lot of
was so
people.
excited. But here's the irony: the day I got accepted, the day I got accepted,
Mhm,
FIU, I was so excited, and
mhm.
I got a phone call from one city. Hey, I got you into St. John's. I said,
The moment that this right here.
where? St. John's in Minnesota. I'm telling everybody, man, I'm going to Europe. I'm out of here.
Hey, you know what? You were all half right, dang it.
I
Minnesota,
know, right?
you were half right.
I was
You're
telling
going to the
everybody,
Scandinavian part two.
I didn't know where Minnesota
Asgard.
was. I think I saw Minnesota once on Sesame Street or something like that.
Oh
I
man.
don't remember. And it looked cold. I remember seeing the snow. I remember seeing that.
Mhm.
So I was like,
People
man, I'm going to
associated with
Europe.
yeah, I'm going to Europe, y'all. I'm out of here.
I'm going to Europe. I was so excited, bro. And then they send the brochures, man. they start sending brochures in the mail, and oh
St. John's got
no,
nice brochures, man. The buildings, oh, they do it well. Oh yeah.
oh man, dude, I was in I saw the orchestras and the choir. I was like, oh my god, like
Like, oh
I'm
my
gonna
God,
be
I'm
in
getting out
heaven.
this little bitty building. Finally, we getting out the building. I'm going.
But yeah, bro. So that's yeah, that was that summer, and so
So this is summer 2006, right?
2006.
2006. So yeah, I just graduated high school, not knowing this man at all, not knowing we were on the collision course, to meet each other very, very soon.
Oh,
2006. I got to St. John's getting fancy brochures, and I'm like, all
right.
right, I'm just, I'm in the cities, I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm like, all right, man, it's an hour away, but I know my parents ain't coming up, so it might as well be out of state. You feel me? I don't know nobody. What's funny is too, I knew like two people that were going to that college from my whole like high school. One guy I played football with, and a girl I was in the track team with, and yeah, it was just a feeling. All right, let's, sounds good, man. They want me, let's go, man. And it's crazy, those small decisions. That decision where you go to college change the entire course of your life. Who you're gonna meet, who you're gonna, what your experience is gonna be like, set you kind of up for life. So, so I
Sure
got to
did.
see St. John's when it was nice and summery, and coming up on my visits and all this stuff. All that summer, all that I got to see St. John's, the beautiful campus, everything. And when you landed January 20,
Man,
2007,
I tell you this, my mom came with me. She wanted to come
the
with me.
Bahamas.
Her and her husband came with me, and I remember, the little space in between the plane and the terminal,
Yeah, yeah.
like where the terminal meets the plane, like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that little tube thing that comes. Yeah, yeah.
Bro, we must have walked past there. It was a wind that blew. My mom's like, "Whoa, what was that?" We
Never
never
felt nothing
felt
like
nothing
that.
like that. That hit us, man. That chilled us to the bones, man. So, man, we went out there. And remember, we got on jackets from Florida.
Yeah, we're like, let's go. We go. Yep, connecting flight.
We
We
got
going to
jackets on
Florida.
from
We got
Florida, man. Hey, bro, we got jackets on from Florida. From Florida.
January 2007,
Dude,
St. Cloud, Minnesota.
dude, man. I remember.
Oh
So
man,
we
that,
got in the plane. We got in I remember my mom when she stepped out of that airport. The tears came down her eyes, just tears.
wow.
I just remember watching her, and her eyes bulge over, and tears like yeah. And I was like,
Ooh.
and I'm trying to tough it out. Yeah, I've been in Atlanta. Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
say I've been to Atlanta. I'm fine. I've been to the
This
states.
this ain't this ain't too bad.
This ain't too bad.
I know, right? And so we gone. We drive up for hours, man. I remember being in the car, and we never drive that long. I never been in the car that long. None of us been in the car that long. She looking at me
Well,
like,
for context, people,
mm,
Nassau, Bahamas is Bahamas a lot of islands. Nassau is one of the, it's a pretty small island actually. It's only 21/7, the whole thing. So they have a highway, but it's kind of short. They have play, but like you don't drive for like hours or whatever. You be stuck
no,
in traffic for hours, but you won't literally be covering that much land. So this is
no.
all new experience for you. You know what I'm saying?
Uh, it's yeah, it's yeah. I mean, if you see it was like 2.5 hours from Minneapolis to
From the
Collegeville.
airport to from the airport to no, it's like yes, about 2 hours, yeah, if you're hitting new traffic.
We was dying in that car, man. I was
Just
like,
past St.
what?
Cloud, yeah.
And we just watched the buildings go down and down and down. And then we saw
Then
cornfield,
he leave.
cornfield,
Yep.
cornfield. I was like, what is this? What's going on? What happened to like? I'm thinking I was going to like a city, like because we seen all the orchestras. I think we going to like, you know, nah, man. We was in the middle of nowhere.
Yep. Collegeville, Minnesota. That is where St. John's University is located, and it is just us up there. It's just I think it's the St. John's, the campus, the monastery, the church, all that stuff,
Mhm.
the dorms, and then you see a couple of houses down the road, like a farm, like out like. Besides that, nope. That place is just made for St. John's. That's all that's up there. So
Yeah.
man,
So I remember when my parents left. that's when I knew I had to face the music. This is it. Like when they left, I was like,
Hmm.
I slept in that dorm room alone because nobody had come yet.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
was,
This is the
it was
break. It's
empty.
like this is winter break, so people
When
are
the
coming
break, so
back.
I came a little earlier for orientation or something like that. I met, there was a lot of Asians at the time when I came.
Hmm. Yeah, in high school too.
Efficiently
Yeah.
from Kenya. Um, who else?
Yeah, because like again, like myself, if I'm from the city and a lot of us were from Minnesota, we can go back home for breaks and stuff like that. As opposed to if you're an international student, they stayed on campus, all the time. They were always, there. So if you guys know the internationals, man, it really was a different, campus experience, man. And so this led up to our famous first meeting, which he remembers very vividly. Okay, he always
So
talks about it.
I, I let me tell him he still don't remember. I don't understand how people don't remember like big deals. This is a big deal. That's
I
why
didn't
we
know
met.
it was gonna be at this. I didn't know I would know you for the rest of my adult life, my brother. I had no idea. You was just a brother in the dorm. You know what I'm saying? Another brother from the
Ah!
Bahamas. Hear the accent? Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I went down there. I saw this. He was the only other guy of color on my floor, like black
St.
guy
John's is
on my
very white
floor.
people.
I think it was probably one of the first African Americans I really talked to like that, and I never really,
Hmm.
come in contact with rather. So um, we had an international dinner or something like that we were going to go to, and I wanted to look spiffy, and I didn't have a tie, so I was scared. I was nervous you know, to ask anybody else. I didn't know anybody. I didn't, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
and I saw this one guy that kind of looked bohemian to me, like, this looks familiar. So I said, you know what, let me go to him. Let me start with him at least,
Let
and
me
then
go.
see where we go from there. And then I went and I said, hey man, can you borrow a tie? He's like, yeah, man, sure, cool. And like, I say, I don't know, my spirit just taken them. I say, I like this cat. I say, just his vibe. I say, you know what? But I say, that's a blessed dude. I say, you a blessed dude. You know that? He say, man, thanks, man. All right.
When he tells me the story, I can imagine it. Yeah, man, I'm 18-year-old, Eric.
That's
Borrowing from a
hilarious.
new person. Oh yeah, sure, bro. Here's a tie. My dad gave me a bunch of ties actually on college, and so
Yeah,
and
boy,
so
that
that was
time.
that was the beginning. Mary two, baby. Mary dorm room, Mary Hall. Floor two, the Deuce, as we called it.
Right.
So that was the beginning of it all, man. And so from there, yeah, we just started hanging out, getting to know people again, just living college. And I think it was really like next year, my sophomore year, your junior year, we was just like hanging like all the time. I think we had moved to Bennett, we had moved to a nice dorm room, and it's like connected. Here's the thing, our dorm room, it was connected to the music building that had all the piano stuff in it, so that was
Man.
dope, right? And then and also I was a communication major, wanted to be a journalist at the time, and so the quad, like the com building, was right there connected, and there was a bridge thing, so we didn't have to go outside. So this was primo housing, man, and we ended up getting. We was on the fourth floor, so they had them big lofted ceilings, and literally, like, man, me and this dude, we
Yeah.
started spending like
Yeah.
all, what I'm saying, kicking it like all the time. He was down the hall from me. I go to his room, and then what we'd also do, some things that were not legal at the time, but it's all good now. But we would have some fun. And then this man, this is how I introduced how great of an artist this guy is, people. So I didn't know. Like, he told me play piano, play music. All right, cool. But no, then he really started playing. This is, I think, at St. John's, I can say where, hey man, like I can remember like just your growth, your progress from what you were just playing. And then what he's not telling you is he wasn't just a piano major. He also had tuba he was playing, and then the organ. And
Yeah.
people, if you have never experienced like an organ, had an organ room up close. Now,
Man.
mind you, when you're sober and just in your right mind, it's impressive. Now, imagine us my little dumb 18, 19, 20-year-old self. Woo, I could see the music this man
Yes.
was playing. You feel me? So
Yeah.
no, man, St. John's, like that was a great time, man. And honestly, my college experience, it wouldn't have been the same without you if I hadn't met you. And during
Yeah.
those times, it really changed, even the direction, of again, my friendships, how I related to people. Like I said, like I felt like a Bahamian resident almost because I was going down there so much. It was at least every other year up until every other year during Christmas time up until COVID hit. We were always going down there. Our families really became intertwined, and it was funny because like I said, the international students, they couldn't necessarily go home during breaks and things like that. So so after a while, man, Brian's with me, so I would just take him home to my crib. So one time I remember I bring him down, down to St. John's. I don't even tell my I forget. I leave Brian in the basement. I go ahead and do something else. My mom comes downstairs, right? Oh, Brian. I was like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, mom, Brian's at the crib. But it just became like that. I'm like, yeah, you with me?
man,
You feel me?
I'm in these people's house.
Yeah. And I'm treating you like, yeah, my
You don't
boy.
even know I here.
I had completely forgotten to even tell him, but it got to that point, man. So, but I do know again, this shit. Getting back to the theme of the show, man, we're about all things mental health over here, and I do know up close and personally. We didn't know anything about mental health. We weren't on that side at the time, but overcoming adversity and the things you had to do, from a mental standpoint to keep going because again, it was a beautiful place. St. John's a great place, great facilities, professors, all that. However, you were coming again, starting a little bit behind the eight ball. You had started playing piano later than a lot of the people in your major now. You go from again COB music major, where it's just everybody. You're so close, y'all. And all of a sudden, you're coming to a completely different music department in a completely different world with
Yeah.
completely different types of people that don't look anything like you. May have never
Oh,
met anybody like you.
yeah.
Exactly. And so again, talk about sharing some of that as your growth as a player, was happening. What were some of the personal things that you were going through behind the scenes, to navigate that just drastic change in environment? Because as stark as the environment literally is, the contrast from the Bahamas to
Mhm.
basically Collegeville, Minnesota, the people and everything else is just as stark of a contrast. So, talk about that.
Yeah, you're right. It's a different culture. It's a different expectations. There were different uh, nuances that you didn't know. You had to learn. I later made a lot of mistakes. I, I look back now. I laugh. You know what I mean? I look back, and a lot of things went over my head. I didn't see. I didn't want to see. I didn't want to know. But you felt it. You
Yeah.
felt it. So I went there, and I was the only Bahamian in music department. Like you said, all the Bahamians did were doctors and all that. So they shared a lot of classes together. I
Mm.
was alone in a different building, and it was just isolated. And it was not like the family of of COB that I had, you know. Um, at least not at first, of
Mm-hmm.
course,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I just remember sitting in that class, and even music was different because I would learn music on the British system. Now this is an American system. So instead of saying minims and breves, and crotchets, and there was now half notes and quarter notes and whole notes. So I had to learn a whole new language uh,
Wow.
with that. And then even the theory wise, what we did like 4-part harmonies and stuff like that, we did figured bass and stuff like that. We were using like we was using letters. They were using numbers. I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? It was,
Dang.
it was a lot of different things. And I remember some of the professors, I talked to them, they were fascinated, but they didn't want to learn from me. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying to learn from you. I cannot fail. I gotta pass. You know what I mean?
Hey, bro, I'm on.
Come on. So, but I felt, you know, uh, I couldn't understand the culture. I was happy-go-lucky kid from the Bahamas, and Minnesotans are a little bit more reserved. They're a little bit more, I always felt like I was extra, or it was just a different culture. I couldn't put my finger on it. It was just trying to adapt to it, and I just could. It was very difficult. And of course, music majors, we had more classes. Like some majors, they only had like 4 classes a semester. We had like
That's
16,
true.
12,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
12
Because you got to
classes.
make them one credit
One credit
classes and all these
classes,
other
man. It
big
was
things.
annoying.
Yeah.
It was annoying. But so that kept me busy a lot of times too. But just always trying to catch up, trying to keep up. Yeah, now I'm in a totally different caliber of players now. These cats have been playing since they were uh, kids, and they went to school for music, like high school for music. And I was like, oh my god, they playing these big pieces. So, but I didn't let it scare me. I was like, I want to learn. I'm in this field. I'm in here. I want
Yeah,
to learn. I want
just make it
so I,
happen.
yeah, I was lucky. I started off with a teacher, and I wanted Father Koopman because I had met him and through Monsignor Moss, and I was like, he was a monk,
Yeah, Catholic connections, you know.
priest. He was a world class pianist. I've heard about him, and I've heard him play, and this dude was phenomenal. I was like, okay, you gonna be my teacher. And he laughed. He was like, okay. And he had such power like that. He just went and was like, I'm gonna just take him as my student. Like, it was
Whatever.
just like, yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
he
we
was a
know each
big deal.
other.
He later on, again, that's the guy he was president of the university the year I graduated. So he actually
Yeah.
signed my certificate. So yeah, he was a big deal.
And he went to Juilliard.
Yeah, guys, yeah, yeah.
And so it's amazing because I didn't go to Juilliard. I didn't go, but I got through osmosis these skills. And
Teachings,
and
yeah.
one thing I would say about Father Koopman, he was a different cat. He was different. All the musicians, professors, they were different. They were artists. You could see like they're not regular like Joes. They were good at what they did, and they were little savants. They were and I admired them. I admired Koopman a lot. You know what I mean? I said, you know, uh, I wanted to play better. I wanted to get better. I wanted to play one of those big, massive pieces, like the concertos and stuff like that. So, man, he came to me and he started giving me these pieces, and it was Schumann and it was Einaudi, and these little pieces. These pieces were very technically difficult, and I was like, I felt insulted a little bit. I was like,
I'm like, hey man, the chips
"What's
getting back. Hold on now. Just
yeah?"
knock the
So I
chip
was
off.
like,
We about to
"That guy is playing like these monster pieces over here, and you giving me these baby pieces, man." He's
he
like,
gave
"Wait,
me hot crust buns over here, and I'm
right?"
playing them.
I was like, "What's going on?" He said, "Wait, I know what you're thinking," but he's like, "But I don't think anybody could play these pieces like you, Brian, because you got a musicality. It was like a natural gift." And he saw that, and I would say this, Miss Wright, she got my skills level up, but
Mhm.
he, when I got to Father Kuman, he taught me how to be an artist.
There we go.
He
Okay.
brought that out of me. He taught me how to play a note, like really play just a single note, but play it in such a way like nobody else can play it. And he honed that in me. And he always would tell me, after my recital, he's like, I went to see him years later, and he's like, to this day, he said, nobody played it like you, Brian.
There
Nobody
you
played it
go.
like you, you know. But yeah, it was tough. I had to keep up. At the second year, they would tell you, hey, they would have a review, and it's like, are you? They would decide whether you would stay in the music department, or they would advise you, yeah, you should probably pick another major.
Sheesh,
So
man. See, I thought nursing was just the cutthroat like that because our school
no,
nursing was a big deal, and you might not get into major. You could waste a lot of time,
yeah,
and just not even be accepted. So, dang, music was the same thing. They said, "Hey, we looking to call the herd, y'all. Uh, keep
yeah.
up."
So that yeah, and I was nervous. I was like, oh my god. Oh, but I mean, it was a lot of people. I didn't want to let Monsignor Moss down. I didn't want to let my church down, my family down, Fox Hill, everybody. You know what I mean? Everybody proud of me. So to know that to fail, like you didn't. pass. Like you're not gonna be a music major. What else am I gonna do? That's what I came. The whole point of coming up here,
Hey,
you know.
all my eggs are in this basket, man. I'm out here in the middle of freaking nowhere just to do this thing. Can't fail at this thing, man. That's definitely pressure. And unfortunately, at the time we didn't have those encouragements to, hey, there's the school psychologist. Maybe you should talk to them, or the school counselors. No, it wasn't like that. Like I said, we just kind of we had a support system of each other. And
Hmm.
that was kind of it. If we was feeling down or bad or nervous about something, I mean, that's the time, like, college is like that, where you go to your friends, you go to your people.
And then the weather, the weather
Oh
was a
man, in the
big
weather.
thing because I took the sun for granted.
Yes, the funniest thing, man. I remember. I think it was Barando. Shout out to Barando, man. He was like, "Man, I am convinced." No, it was Patton. Patton, Dr. Patton. Shout out to you, Pat Natalie out there. I remember we walking, walking to the bus or whatever, because we had to go take the bus between each campus. So we walking, and it was bright outside. Here's the thing: it'd be cold, but if there was no clouds, the sun could be shining bright, which is an oxymoron to the Bahamas. The Bahamas, there's sun, it should be warm. He
Doesn't make
said,
sense.
Eric, I am convinced your sun does not work.
It
And
don't
the way
work.
he said it, I am convinced your son doesn't work.
It don't make no sense, bro. Don't make no sense. Like
Yes,
not.
and so we didn't know. Again, that's the first time it ever been brought to our attention. Seasonal depression. The having to have the special the light that has
Yeah,
UV light rays and stuff. What was that light called?
the sun lamp. Like
Yeah,
you had
sunlight
to
lights and things like that.
you had to do that. You had to take vitamin D supplements and stuff like things I learned now that I have to do. You know, I mean, I still live in the Midwest. I mean, a
Yeah,
little
yeah, you
warmer
still
here,
got
but
those. Yeah.
it still affects me. And
Mhm.
it really is a real thing. Not Yeah, you take the sun for granted. We had 12 months of summer. Now we go, mm,
Now that summer is 5 max.
yeah, you go weeks without seeing the sun. Then it really takes a hit on you, man. You start feeling down. You start, it's harder to do things. Hard to get up. It's hard to be motivated. You know, it really messes with the chemicals in your brain. I guess I yeah, man. It was not easy. And then the food, and just the culture,
Yeah.
yeah, the culture. Because I remember just feeling as a Bahamian, being in this space. I've always been kind of anxious, like, what if I offend somebody? What if I did something wrong? What if I they don't understand me, or you know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
and I'm always I'm constantly trying to understand, but I felt like I was fighting a losing battle a lot of times, because you still caught up in the way you see the world, the way you grew up
Mhm.
as a Bahamian, and you see all these foreign things, and I feel like people took things so seriously. Why everybody so serious all the time? Like, what I mean? Like everything got to be so serious, and then you got to show up on time. Like when they say, "Hey, it's this time," you gotta be showing up 5 minutes after or 10 minutes. No, the bus run over you.
Yeah. No.
That
Yeah.
that
Exactly. It's not as casual as society. Exactly.
it's not a casual society, and people getting offended, man. Like they getting offended if you late, if you like they man, uh, and it would catch you off guard. You know what I mean? The temperaments of people and stuff like that, and the different way of looking at things. In the Bahamas, we're a little more laid back. You know what I mean? We enjoy life. Didn't seem like nobody was enjoying life much here. It is all work, work, work,
It's
work,
been,
work,
hey,
work, work,
yeah,
work, work.
hey,
I was
hey,
like,
it was
I was
getting
like,
to the
man, you don't relax, you don't chill out. You know what I mean, man?
yeah, man.
It was
No,
just
you would see when we relaxed, it was on the weekends and everybody be getting wasted. Okay, that's again
right.
white boy wasted. Okay, at St. John's
Yeah.
University, that's how people blew off steam and then worked all week, man. And so in the midst of that environment, what this man's not telling you, he was like a straight A student still. Like I think what you had a B once in life ever, something like that. So the man definitely was able to still succeed, despite those circumstances. And then me and him did something super foolish. We both graduated. We finally got out of school. Oh man. And what did we decide to do, Brian?
Go back to school.
Go back to freaking school. That's what we did. He graduated '09. I saw this man. I got to, he graduated first.